So welcome, everybody. I'm Becca Winetic, and I am the Director of Disability Inclusion and Belonging for the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West. And Emily Fox and Emily is the Director of Jewish Educational Initiatives, working with our congregational schools in the community. She and I came together to be able to bring this workshop series to you. And thank you to Sherry Rothstein for kind of giving us the impetus to do it. We were aware of the workshop, and Sherry kind of nudged us a little bit to bring it to the group. So we're really, really excited to be able to be here with everybody. I want to welcome Beth Lipschutz. Beth is the Wellness Coordinator for Jewish Federation of North America's Be Well initiative. And our Greater Metro West community is actually the recipient of a Be Well grant to be able to do a local resiliency roundtable to support the mental health and well-being of young people in our community. So this workshop is a perfect fit in being able to share some tips and tools and information with educators and youth professionals in our community to be able to better serve our community. So we're really, really excited to have everybody here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Beth. It's all yours.
Thanks, Becca. It is so exciting to be with all of you. My name is Beth. I'm a social worker at Be Well. Before this, I spent 10 years as the Nifty Missouri Valley Regional Director. So teens are my passion. I got to hang out with Sherry at camp this summer at Creative Arts Academy, which was a blast. And somehow I did not give you COVID, Sherry, because I apparently had it, but wasn't testing positive yet. But I highly recommend camp to anyone who hasn't been to camp yet. And I'm so grateful to Sherry and Becca for being able to bring me on to spend time with you all. Full disclosure, I've only run this program in person, not on Zoom. So we're going to play with some things. It's going to be an experiment, and we're going to figure it out together. So thank you for your patience. Also, full disclosure, I live in Denver, Colorado, and as I was telling Becca earlier, I have zero understanding of how New Jersey really works and where anybody is. So we're going to do some introductions. I would love to know your name, your pronoun. I will put this in the chat, where you are, because I'm looking at a map of New Jersey, so to help me learn what your role is, and something that made you smile this week. For example, my name is Beth. I am in Denver. My pronouns are she, her. I didn't have the chat typed yet, so I already forgot. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in Denver. Something that made me smile is that today was the first day in a couple of days where it was 55 and sunny. You all are going to get to experience the sun going down right now. My light is going to change a whole lot in the next half an hour or so because of the time that it is here. But that made me smile. And Becca did a way better job of explaining my role than I do most days. So I'm actually just going to let that one go. And I'm going to put all of these questions in the chat, and I'm going to popcorn it. Sherry, I'm going to pick on you because I know you've done this before.
Sure. My name is Sherry. I'm currently in Roseland, New Jersey, which is hard to find. It's near Livingston if you're looking at a map. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Director of Congregational Learning at Temple Shalom of West Essex. And something that made me smile yesterday was that and some of you were there, a music stand fell. It came very close to hitting me and with an iPad and made a loud crash. And I said, no, I'm fine. Nothing hit me. And some kid said, you must be the Messiah. I just thought that was hilarious. Oh, and I'm going to pick on Kara.
And that was the boy who called her out was dressed as a hippie for Purim, which just added to the hilarity of the whole thing. And that made me smile too. That's not my smile though. My name is Kara Moroz. I live in Montclair, New Jersey. People know the town because it is home to Stephen Colbert, among others, but he's probably the most famous person who lives in Montclair, New Jersey. So I presume everyone knows who that is. And then I teach 5th grade Hebrew at Temple Shalom. I also prep kids for B'nai Mitzvah. And the thing that made me smile, besides Harris calling Sherry a messiah, was the fact that this weekend we spring forward, which means lighter later. So capitalizing on Beth's lighting situation where she is, that's something I'm looking forward to. And my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Sarah, will you toss it to somebody?
Oh, I will toss it to who's on here. Let's see, Juliet.
Hello, I'm Juliet, pronoun she, her. I live in Ramsey, New Jersey, which is up in the northern area of New Jersey. So we are getting the snowstorm that my southern New Jersey friends are not getting. So my role is I'm a teacher at Temple Shalom. I work for Shari and the Jewish people, of course. And something that made me smile, well, it wasn't necessarily this week, but I became a grandmother. And so it makes me smile every day. My son and son-in-law adopted a baby and it makes me smile every day. So I'm just riding on that. So I'll, if we're playing the popcorn game, I will popcorn it to Cindy Baruch because I want to say your name. So
Very
popcorn for
good. You said it right.
Of course, because I also teach Hebrew.
My name is Cindy Baruch. Pronouns are he, she. I am a teacher at the Jewish Montessori School in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I teach 18 months to 3-year-olds. And I am also a teacher at CBI in Scotch Plains. On Sundays, once a month, I teach pre-K. What made me smile this week? Probably the Chag, the holiday of Purim, because everybody was just so happy. And as we know, in the month of Adar, Misha Nechnas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha, and everybody was happy and dressed up in my school and in my class. And I will send it over to Perach, because you work with me in CBI on Sundays.
My name is Perach Gabai. I teach in CBI and I teach 3rd grade Hebrew and Israel. What makes me smile is, as you said before, it's poem. My daughter sent me the picture of my grandchildren, and each one was excited to tell me about his or her costume. And that make me smile. And, you know, the kids in my class make me smile many times with their comments. That's it. I'll go to who was not called, I'll call the gentleman, Alex.
All right, there we go. Because I'm on the phone, so it's different. I'm Alex. I am a he, his. I'm excuse me, in close to Montclair, New Jersey, in Little Falls, New Jersey, and I am like an assistant through the Hebrew school as well as a sub. What made me smile this week? So I also work in elementary school in Montclair, New Jersey. So what made me smile is seeing a whole bunch of kids like help each other out if they need help with any assignments, if they're struggling with work. So I looked over and I see a bunch helping each other out. So it was good stuff. I like that. So I guess I'm gonna call on Allison.
All right, I'm Allison Devine, she, her, hers. I teach 2nd grade at Temple Shalom, Judaics, and I'm a 4th grade public school teacher in Livingston, New Jersey, but I live in Springfield, Union County, near Union, if you're looking on the map. And something that made me smile this week, my 4th graders took a field trip to a school in town that is for multiple disabled students, and we saw their students put on a play, and we got a tour of their facility, And my students responded really well to it, like far better than I could have ever anticipated. So it was a really special day. And I will pass to Amy.
Hi, thank you to Becca for letting me join your call. I'm actually not from New Jersey. I'm actually from Philly, to be honest. I live in San Diego now. But I grew up outside Philadelphia and spent a lot of time in Cherry Hill and the Jersey Shore. Anyway, I work for Federation in San Diego as a teen mental health and resiliency coordinator, and we are also considering bringing this kind of training. And so thank you to Beth too. So wanted to be part of it and just get a sense of how we can bring that to our city. So nice to see you all. Thanks. Sorry, I forgot. Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather. I work for New Jersey Y Camps as their mental health coordinator. The office is in Fairfield, New Jersey. The camp is in Milford, Pennsylvania, and I live either on or in Long Island, not sure what people call it. Oh, and something that made me smile is I just got to bring a delicious blueberry cheesecake crumble cookie to a dear friend's daughter, and it made her happy. And I'm on a phone. I can't see who I haven't passed it to yet. Rebecca, did you go, Rebecca?
Nope, I'll go.
Okay.
So, hi, everybody. I'm Becca Winetic. I introduced myself already. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Randolph, New Jersey, Morris County. Seems like our greater Metro West community is pretty well represented tonight, from east to west and north to south. And what made me smile today was my younger son came home from college for spring break. So it's nice to have a full house this evening. And I will go ahead and pass it to Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill. My pronouns are she and her. I live in Millburn, New Jersey, which is around the same place as a lot of the others. And I work in many schools, and my major role is as a music teacher for preschoolers and Jewish music, but I also teach various things. And this year it's 6th grade Hebrew in Ner Tamid, Temple Ner Tamid, which is in Bloomfield. And I was gonna say something about the children that I got to teach who were in their Purim costumes, and a boy who was so proud of himself in a Mario costume that he was just beaming and kept going like this to me, like, you got to see me, right? I'm so cool. But I must say, it's pretty wild that I'm thinking of him because my 2 boys just came home, my 2 adult boys, and we're gonna be having such a nice time seeing each other. And I'm very happy to be here.
I think we still have Suzanne, Rachel.
Can I pop it over to Suzanne?
Hello, lovely people. I'm Suzanne Levy. My pronouns are she and her, yet most of the time I use the word try me as my pronouns. But I have worked for 40 years in Livingston at Temple Beth Shalom, B'nai Abraham. I started teaching in 1979 at Temple Ner Tamid. I am grateful to be back there for the last couple of years. I teach in Summit and I teach in Hoboken. My full-time occupation, I'm a hospice nurse and an end-of-life doula, and I love teaching Hebrew school, especially the older children. Something beautiful and momentous that happened to me. We have a temple dog, which is my beloved rescue Fifi. Unfortunately, I lost her after a good long reign, and she had come with me to Hebrew school many times. And my students were very silently also mournful, except for the 3 boys in the back that were on their phones. And I said to them, gentlemen, let me just tell you that I'm spilling my guts here. Could you please give me a little respect? And all 3 of them turned their phones around. They were already looking for a new rescue dog for me. And I just adopted one from one of the boys' suggestions. I don't think she likes me very much yet, but I'm working on it. So that was the most poignant moment of my teaching career, that they could do that for me, and look at how it happens. So thanks for welcoming me. I wish you all a good meeting.
And Rachel, I think you're our last one, but someone correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
Thanks.
Michelle didn't go yet. Michelle.
Thank you.
All right,
All
well, I'm on as much as I can be. I am
Mhm.
car driving. Can you guys see me and hear me?
Yes, but look at the road. Do what you need to do.
Thanks. So I am Rachel Kalman. I go by the pronouns she, her. I work at the Temple Shalom of West Essex with the other people here. And I teach third grade. The thing that made me happy this week is after a couple months of looking at daycares for our baby that will be born in June, and we looked at 7 of them. Today, we finally found one that we want to go to. So it's very exciting. I think you said there's one last person left.
I
So
think
I'll
it's
pass.
Michelle. Is that right? And thank you, Rachel, for
Hi, I'm Michelle. My pronouns are her and she. I work at Temple Shalom. Sherry's my boss. I work opposite Kara. I'm the Judaic Studies teacher there for 5th grade. I teach at 3 other synagogues. Some of them I do Hebrew at and the various ages. And the thing that made me smile was yesterday I was in the city and I saw all these flowers blooming, which I thought was crazy, but wonderful. We went to a great exhibit on Banksy down in Soho. And there was something else I was going to say that really, I played pickleball today. That really made me smile. So I found my group again after a number of months of me not being able to go. So that was great.
Thank you all so much. You're all teachers. I don't need to tell you the importance of building community and having regular check-ins with your students. We're all also trying to get through so many things, but to be able to take the time and do that is such a lovely gesture and really helps everyone know that you care. And it helps us build a group. That's what made you smile is one of my favorite questions, because every single one of us smiled at something else. Something somebody else said. And so it really builds community in the fact that we're all cheering each other on. And also we've all done the how are you with the requisite like fine with the shoulder shrug, and we can like get away from a conversation. Your folks cannot do that when you ask what's something that made you smile. And Michelle, I see there's someone sitting next to you. Do you also want to introduce yourself? I didn't mean to skip anybody.
That's okay. I don't take it personally. My name is Marilee Handler. I'm at, I don't have any pronouns. Just call me Marilee. I work at Temple Shalom since 2009. I'm also in Livingston with the redhead down there, Rachel. And I'm all over the place. I teach 6th grade Judaic studies. And what made me smile is, first of all, it's Adar, and that's the happy month because it's also my birthday month, and I was born on the 14th day of Adar. So not only did Esther save the Jews, but she saved me too. And I also didn't have to cook tonight. So that made me smile a lot. I took a sandwich, called out for it, and now I'm sitting next to my good friend Michelle, and we're sharing the screen.
Amazing. Thank you. And Emily, you hopped on just at the right time. Can I pick on you to introduce yourself? Maybe. She may not be able to hear me.
Yeah, she might not be totally connected yet.
Okay, we're gonna keep on moving then, just in the interest of time.
Oh, there she
Oh,
is.
Emily,
Hi.
amazing.
Hi.
Welcome. We'd love to know who you are, pronouns, where you are, because I have a map of New Jersey in front of me and I'm learning. Your role and something that made you smile.
Hi everybody, I'm Emily Fox. You probably recognize my emails. I'm the Director of Jewish Educational Initiatives for Federation, and I am in South Orange. I work with all of our congregations. It's so nice to see so many of you here tonight. something that made me smile was coming home to my girls tonight, even though they were absolute messes, and I can't believe I just got one of them to bed. But they make me smile every night when I come home from work.
Amazing.
And I apologize, I'm going to be off camera for a little bit as I get things done from bedtime.
Thank you for letting me pick on you the second you popped on.
No problem.
So thank you all for doing that. It's a great way to pull something out of your students that you may not get. It's also a fun thing to do with teachers and your staff around you. It's just fun to hear things. And honestly, it took so much willpower on my part to not ask you more questions about what made you smile and where you're living as I'm looking at the map. Because I want to know more. So it really is a time filler. As you can see, we've spent 25 minutes on it. And it's such a great way to get to know people. So I appreciate that. I'm just going to pop to the next thing. We are going to do a text study. You all are here because you believe mental health and wellness is important. I'm going to put a text study in the chat. There is some text. There are some questions. I will tell you that. Hold on, I can't talk and do it all. I copy link. So this text study was written by Rabbi Dina Schaefer, who is our amazing rabbi who works for the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Project with me at JFNA. And the whole idea is about knowing our insides. So there is some text that I encourage you to read together or separate or on your own, however y'all decide to do it. There are some questions. The second page is her explanation for like the facilitator. I included it in there so you all can read together if you have the chance and think about how else you might use this. Also, you're welcome to save this on your computer and use it in some other way. But that way you have it. I don't want to come back. I don't need to teach this out of you. You all are educators. You know how this works. So now you have all of it, and we're going to put you in groups for like 6 minutes, 8 minutes, Becca.
Welcome back, Rachel. We'll give everybody just a few more seconds. Their room should be closing.
Thanks. Yeah, I am transitioning. I had to wait because I just got to my house. But since we were in breakout groups, I couldn't join from my iPad. So I'm just going to, now that we're back in the main room, I'm going to try transitioning over to my iPad.
Okay.
So that you guys can all see me again.
Amazing. I'm glad you made it safely.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back. Anyone want to give us some key points of things that they discussed? I know we gave you not enough time to have a real discussion.
I liked where Juliet was headed, where she was making a reference to value versus coolness as it relates to teens and hair, which I think men or women may have some value that they place on hair. But I thought that was kind of cool, especially as it relates to teens in terms of what's cool. So I'd like to hear what Juliet had to say because we got cut off. Selfishly, I'd like to hear the rest of the story.
Please.
Well, we were talking about gold on the inside, gold on the outside. And it just so happened I was working with a student, not a Temple Shalom kid, but could have easily been. And she was asking me if I liked how she had straightened her hair and if I had ever. And I said, yes, I used to. And I said in a nice way, but in a factual way, that in high school, I straightened my hair. She goes, every day? And I said, every day. And because I used to, because that was in, and I cared what was in. And then I stopped caring what was in, and I cared more about how I felt. I didn't finish this sentence because we came back to this room. But the point was, the outside and the inside started to matter to me, not just the outside. And those lessons helped me in working with teens and actually all kids, as caring and nurturing the inside and the outside of those kids that I work with, because I was, actually one of those kids.
Thank you so much for sharing. And sorry you just got like zoomed back to the main room. This is the closest thing we have to time travel right now. It's
Yeah.
a little bit jarring.
But I don't, in case you haven't noticed, I don't straighten my hair anymore. But I actually, you guys can't see me, but I actually now do color it. It's purple. So.
I wish I
Anyway,
could see it. But yeah, the light is not.
That's not that good.
That is
Anyway,
okay.
that was my story.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have anything that stuck out to them, either surprised them or that resonated with them? Oh, Heather might be talking, but I can't tell. No. Okay. How might you use this or something like this? Did anyone get to the facilitator notes? Okay, that sounds right. Since you all were talking and we kicked you back out here. Okay, so ultimately, let's see if I can do a quick job of summarizing. The text is talking about the construction of the Mishkan and that how it was created with both gold inlays on the outside and the inside, even though once the Mishkan was closed, no one was ever going to see the inside. And so why should people put gold on the inside if no one was ever going to see it? And so we reference that, that's just like how we can think about mental health and wellness, that our insides and our emotional health is just as important as our physical health, that we all are dealing with things that people can't see. And we get to help take care of each other, just like the Mishkan had gold on the inside. It was so important that the insides were pretty and were well taken care of. And so our insides are not always pretty, but they can be well taken care of, that we can work on that together. Dina actually gives a much better explanation than I could right that second. So I encourage you to read it. How might you use this with either, not your little kids, but either with students or with staff or people you're working with?
I mean, I think it's great to use with teachers. Most of my teachers are here. So, when you're reminding ourselves that we need to take care of our students inside and check in with them emotionally and continue to be in relationships so that we can, know how they're doing and make sure that we're nurturing their insides.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, you all get to be the examples. You get to show what it means to really care for people's insides. And you can use the text to talk about why it's important for younger kids or for teens, or honestly for most any group I'm talking with. My go-to, if I'm just looking for like a quick Jewish value, is B'Tselem Elohim. I also like Suzanne, never judge a book by its cover, and ask how are you really. All of those are important. I use B'Tselem Elohim. Besides, it's a great excuse to play Dan Nichols. Sherry's laughing at me. We can talk about it that, we all come as whole people, that, we all come to, Sundays are especially tough for those of you that teach on Sunday mornings. Kids have had sleepovers, so they're exhausted. Some of your teachers are college students, and who knows what they were doing on Saturday night. I can see faces. We all have things going on, even when we're not college students. Like, we still get to do things Saturday night. Sundays can be difficult. And on top of that, we have other things going on. There was traffic. The copy machine jammed. I can't find the book I was looking for. Just like normal, everyday things that happen. And we come as whole people, and we get to check in with each other, and we get to check in with our students and find out who they are, how they are. And we get to celebrate that they're coming as whole people. And, when I say B'Tselem Elohim, not just that we're just welcoming them into the community because of their differences, but we actually have the opportunity to celebrate them because of their differences, whether it be social, emotional, physical disability, or just something that happened that day. We actually get to nurture them and help with the community together by asking some of those questions and thinking about how what Suzanne typed, actually. So perfect segue. Thank you, Suzanne. So feel free to use that. I will send the link to Becca if you weren't able to capture it on your computer and you want to use it. This is something that is totally up for grabs. Rosebud and Thorn. That's like one of my favorite camp things too. It's a nice closing for a camp day. Dude, we could come up with 1 million of these actually, which is really great. So it's a great thing to do with your teachers too, is to think about what questions are they asking. I guarantee you, if we took the time, every single one of us could come up with an adult who asked like a Rosebud Thorn question and why that mattered to us when we were growing up, whether it be at school or religious school or Hebrew school or camp or some sort of setting, that we have all had that experience. So, okay. Does everyone know how to use a Jamboard? If you do not, I'm actually going to share my screen real quick and then I'll drop the link in. This is a Jamboard. Did I share the correct screen or can you see my email? Okay, great. I mean, you're welcome to finish the email that I started 4 hours ago, but you don't need to. So this is Jamboard. This one has a lot of things on it. What I'm going to ask you to do is think about one of the groups that you work with. You can just pick one unless you feel excited and want to put more things on. And think about the things that you see during different times. So page one has drop off and pick up. For example, preschool kindergartners, when it's their first time away, sometimes drop off is hard and sometimes we see some tears. Sometimes we see not willing to let go of parents. For high schoolers, sometimes we, if they don't want to get out of the car, it's not because they don't want to be, because they're afraid of leaving their parent. It's often because they don't want to walk into the building. So different, but we see different things with different kids and different ages. So page one is drop off and pick up. Page two is about different activities they love, activities they don't like, and a new activity. Page three is feeling left out or having trouble making friends, feeling tired. And then page four is just routine changes. If you have a substitute, if it's after break, if you have a farm carnival in the middle of religious school, and students with identified needs. There's 1,000 things you could put on this board. Do not feel like you need to fill the whole thing up. We're going to take like 5 minutes, pick one that you love, and think about things that you see during these different times. You don't have to fill all of it out. In order to do that, what you're going to do is click on the sticky note. You type whatever you want. You choose the color you want. You hit here. You hit save and you drop it wherever you want it to go. And you can, oops, you can make it smaller, you can make it bigger, and you can flip through the pages. Any questions as I'm going to stop sharing so people don't get confused. Any questions as I drop the link in the chat? Amazing. As you think of some, feel free to pop off mute and let me know. Also, someone please give me confirmation that that actually worked. Cool.
Good to go.
Amazing. Oh yes, I see a hippo and a turtle. And you're all different animals now.
I don't know if it's just me and because I'm an iPad, but I can't get into the Jamboard.
I don't know enough about iPads to be able to give you any information.
Okay.
It is okay.
All right. Try
Hang
it.
out.
I was gonna say you can jot them in the chat if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I just can't even see what's in the job. Like I can't even.
Huh.
Yeah, it won't even let me open it.
That's
so I can't.
Weird because it's just a Google thing.
So okay, let me try refreshing it. It like wants me to like download the Jamboard app on my iPad. Let's see if that will work.
Feels like a lot of effort.
I know the activity is going to be over by the time I get in.
Ultimately, as Becca said, you don't really need to see the whole thing. Just think of different times of day you have and pick an age group. And between Becca and I, we'll try to place it where we think it goes. And then I'll share my screen when we talk. I don't want to share my screen now because you can't actually change anything on my screen and it's confusing.
I can't get to the Jamboard either.
Neither could I. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, we'll take like one more minute and then we'll go through it together because that's such a bummer.
Yeah, I think if you're on iPad or phone, it's pretty impossible. Well, we'll see if Rachel can get it once you're done. Okay.
Come on,
Beth,
Google will be better than that.
I'm putting something in, but then I'm thinking, did you want us to give suggestions of what we do to deal with those situations? Like when
Not
they're
yet.
tired? Not yet.
Not yet.
Just what we see.
Yes.
What we're observing. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Joe.
If we can't get in, can we just tell it to you?
Yeah, why don't you type it in the chat?
Okay.
And then in like 30 seconds, I'll share my screen and we can talk about it. Because
We'll share the link out afterwards so that if you have a chance to look at it on your computer, you can always add to it. It's something that stays live. So it can be a reference.
And we don't need to make things more complicated than necessary.
No.
So, okay, I'm going to share my screen. Feel free to keep writing if you're in. But this way, everyone can see. I could not figure out how to get this all onto one page and look nice and have room for people to write. So I apologize. When I do this in person, we do signs taped up on the top and then the grades or however you're categorizing things at the bottom and use sticky notes. So at this point, I would ask you all to walk around and look at each other's sticky notes. Just so you know, in case you ever want to run this. We're just gonna take a look at the first page for now, though. What do you see that these have in common? Pick up and drop off and different ages. Or does anyone have anything to add to these? The tired energy, so true. What do you think that switch is? Excited to share about their day versus the tired energy? Is that like when sleepovers start happening?
Or it could just be the age, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Are either of those red flags, or does that just feel like typical development?
I think it feels like typical development.
Yeah.
Just so you know, our school only has midweek, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh.
And so that brings a whole different set of problems and challenges. I should say challenges that, they're tired from a full day of school. The office.
I remember you explaining this to me over the summer. Yes, it is a whole new set of challenges. I taught at a midweek school last night and they were fried. School is tough, like by no fault of their own. Okay, I'm gonna flip through some of these just so you all can see them. And just jump in if you see something that's interesting. I know we didn't give you a whole lot of time and we could, because you all spend so much time with these kids, you could do this for hours. There are so many different things you see. Not participating versus the vocalization of an activity. And I imagine that middle school and high school, if they don't like an activity, there's the avoidance and the snarkiness and a big eye roll that we have all seen. And none of that's not necessarily a red flag. That's just that feels like typical development if we know someone doesn't like it. Where would that be a red flag? What would change about that behavior if it were to be a red flag? I'm thinking of a kid that used to like something a ton and then one week just decides that they hate it. And it may not be a red flag. They may just change their mind. They may just hate it. But when they like, if it's a kid who always participates, Kara, do you want to jump in?
I was going to say that when a kid might want to participate, but then other kids don't, so that they feel pressured not to like it, even though they originally said they wanted to do it. So peer
100%.
pressure plays a big role in 5th grade.
Yes, it does, for sure. When does peer pressure start for these folks? Or is it just always there?
Preschool.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. They just verbalize it in different ways. Yeah. This one is super interesting because I think that we see the feeling left out and having trouble making friends all of the time because as educators, we're attuned to look for that as people who want to build community. And it's interesting how different folks and different grades handle this. And it is totally developmental in that they, you know, they're not embarrassed just yet when they're real little, but as they get a little bit older, and that sometimes kids isolate further and sometimes kids try to push their way in. And that depends on social skills too. That's not just an age thing. I would say that. So again, it's like not just what's developmentally appropriate, but also about knowing your kids and building relationships with them. So that way, you know what is typical for them and what is atypical for them. So, and then our final one, so identify needs is a tough one. It is easier when you know what's what, that is for sure. Routine changes is such an interesting one because we've all seen our folks just all of a sudden not be themselves. We know that our folks with ADHD especially have lots of trouble with routine changes, can't always keep up. They want to know why so we see it, but that's not necessarily a red flag unless it's like something that's atypical again for that student. Jill, you jumped into like my next thing. What do we do about these situations? You want to take a stab at give us an example?
I'll just point out one thing that's happened for me this year. There is a boy that is he's out of sync with most of his age group. He's very expressive, and he also is very artistic, but he bounces around the classroom. He gets in people's space, and I started just kind of reaching out in a joking manner, but also seriously, like just letting him know how accepted he was by me. And but also like say certain things like, oh, would you like to have a piece of paper while we're doing this so you can draw while we're doing it? Like, and saying to the rest of the class, if you guys, anyone wants to draw while we're doing that, if that's the way you learn, I'm good with that. And he just really seems to have calmed down in our classroom a bit, and definitely feels like he's getting more out of it than he was a couple months ago, and that those efforts really paid off with him, that he feels more trust. And it may also just be what he's developing, like he may be just doing better, but that's one example for me.
But you helped create that environment for him to develop in. So that's such a great example. Thank you. These are all behaviors that we see in classrooms all of the time. I just looked at the clock, so I'm gonna like fly through a couple of things. These are behaviors we see all of the time. It's just kids being kids most of the time. The reason this is important to mental health and wellness is because we, as the adults, have to pay attention to like what is typical and what we can support on our own versus when we need extra help. Jill described a very typical behavior that she knew she had strategies for. And she put those strategies in place and she tried them, and it is clearly working, which is incredible. Does he need extra support? maybe, maybe not, but like, it's not necessarily like it's not a crisis situation. It's just we need extra support. These are things that we forget some of the time. Many of us forgot what typical development looks like when we were all at home and on Zoom and didn't actually see anyone's faces because they all turned their cameras off. I teach high schoolers, so they all turned their cameras off. And the reality is typical development has changed in the pandemic. That things that kids used to be more independent, they used to be able to make more decisions on their own. They spent so much time with an adult being able to help them make food choices, help them make activity choices. I realized that any of you that were home with kids, it was not so easy. It's easy for me to say, but it was not so easy, that I'm sure there were some battles, and they had that extra adult intervention with them. So typical development has just changed, and that's okay. I'm putting in the chat, muted myself instead of getting something in the chat. We're putting in the chat a list of ages and stages and what typical development looked like once upon a time. This is pre-pandemic because researchers were real slow. So to get anything published, we're just not there yet. But you all know what has changed and what hasn't. Because it is so important to just have a reference of like what may be typical. And so those of you that are heads of school, or supporting other teachers, and especially supporting Madrahim, these teens have no idea that it actually is pretty typical for like a fourth grader to vocalize that they really hate something when they don't want to do it. It doesn't mean they hate you. It means they hate the project. It's hard for teens though to understand that. So I encourage you to read through this. It is a whole lot of information, and pick out what may be worthwhile for your class and your school. When something is a red flag, what do you do? If you're a classroom teacher, who do you go to?
I tell Sherry immediately. Just
Yeah, I was gonna say, I go to my directors.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Sherry, what do you do?
Well, I would often talk to the student, see if I can ascertain what's going on, reach out to the parents, depending on what the issue is. See what support they need.
What if it's
Possibly getting the rabbi involved if it's something that, could help, that he could help with.
What if it's more than behavioral? We know that behavior is communication. You all see it every day. What if it's something that the communication is, I may need some emotional support?
So we have resources to provide for them, there's JFS, there's people that we can refer them to.
Which is amazing. It sounds like, Sherry, you all have like a plan in place. Not every
I call Alex. He comes in, he's my go-to. He gives me the deep voice. Right away, the kids are, don't call my parents, don't call my parents. And the total tone and the behavior in the classroom totally changes.
Alex, what's your secret?
I'm just tough. I mean,
no nonsense.
Doing well. I'm just like I'm kind of old schoolish, so I just whip them into shape.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. So if the behavior is just because like they're being kids and they're being annoying and they don't want to follow directions, that works for sure. If for some reason there's a kid that is continuing to exhibit some sort of behavior and you're like, oh, maybe they need some social emotional support, that I'm not a therapist, I'm not equipped to provide that support, what's your next step?
He's also a male figure. He's also, and I'm only 5 foot tall. So he comes in, he's got a big presence, and it's a totally different thing. They're not gonna, act up like they would. Well, I don't usually have behavioral problems anyway. But I mean, if there were, like, my biggest behavioral problem is they don't stop talking. They're just very chatty. And it's one class more than the other. But like I said, he's just his whole presence, you know, and right away they think they're in trouble, even if he's just walking in the halls, checking everything out.
I don't have that presence.
I don't either.
Alex, what do you do if it's more than that?
I will pull that one individual or two out privately into the hallway or to a separate room and try to see what's really going on. Try to dig deep into their mind to help them feel comfortable, and so we could work out a deal maybe. Just trying to get a good connection so they feel comfortable. Tell me about what's going on. Maybe something's happening in their home life that is making them act a certain way. Because I've had students in my elementary school that have been that way. So when as I pull them to the side and say, okay, what's really going on? I've never seen you act like this before. And then they'll tell me everything. And then if it's to a certain point where I have to notify the counselor so they can speak to the counselor, because I'm not a certified counselor, then I would. But at least I have a connection where they feel comfortable. They can like come to me about anything.
Which is so important. And I will say that I believe that many of the kids that you work with, they don't all feel comfortable at school. They probably feel more comfortable in your synagogues and your classes and your youth groups. And it's a different level. And so you all get to be the people to build those relationships and catch those red flags. I'm looking at the clock and I could just keep going. I skipped a whole activity that I was super excited about doing. We'll do it next time. But that's such a great place to wrap up, Alex. So thank you for sharing that story. I encourage each of you, if you don't know who to go to where you work, if you're concerned about a student and you feel like it's something more than you can handle, I encourage you between now and whenever the next time is to figure out who that person is and ask them what they would do. Do they have resources? Sherry told us she has a list of resources that she can refer people to JFS. You have a lot of federations around, I have learned. There are people that can support you. You just have to know who to call. So I encourage you to find your people, figure out who they are, because something comes up and we all have that moment of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? That panic moment. But if you already know you have something ready to go, it's useful.
Can I just add something that like last year we had a big issue with some kids, and Becca is an amazing resource, and she came in and did like an evaluation and really helped us create a plan. We had already had parents involved and it still wasn't working, and we didn't know what else to do, so we called in the big guns and we got Becca in to really help, and it was amazing, and we're very lucky to have a federation that supports the synagogues in that way.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm also going to share with you, we've put together a mental health resource guide for our community that has lots of those resources in it. I will share the link to that. And I am also in the midst of putting together 3 web pages for mental health and resiliency resources for our teens, young adults, another page for parents, and another page for youth serving professionals. So hopefully by the end of the month, those will all go live and you'll have all of those additional resources as well.
You're not busy at all.
And they will go right in the faculty handbook.
Fantastic. And there'll be links so you can email them out to families, things like that as well. Beth, thank you so much for leading our conversation tonight and kicking off this training. Our next session is on March 30th. And so we will be back that evening. If you have colleagues that that missed tonight for some reason, we do have it recorded. We can certainly share that. And if you have colleagues that you think would benefit from participating in the next session, feel free to share the link and let them know. We can share out this recording so they're kind of caught up, and then we welcome them to join us for the next session. Please, feel free. Sure, I just see Sherry put something in the chat.
Beth, can you just give us a quick preview of what's in the next session, just to get us excited about it?
Oh my gosh. Oh, my favorite activity that I thought I was going to have time to do for this session and didn't. It's all about superpowers and how we each have different strengths and how we can support each other and how we can learn about our superpowers in our students. And then what else did? Some more about red flags, because I feel like we sort of touched on that. But there's so much we could talk about. I think those are the two main things.
Thank you.
Of course. And also, like, let me know. This is all flexible. I have 2 weeks. So if there's something you're super interested in, let me know or let Becca know. I'm happy to, I don't need to stick to a plan.
Or let me know if you work with me. I'll let that know.
Yeah, so happy to be flexible. This is all about what you all need.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again at the end of the month.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
good night.
Bye.
Rebecca, if you can hold on just for a second.
Of
Would you
course.
be willing to share with me or through Sherry your email address? Because I'd like to connect you with a colleague of mine named Sonia, who's a LCS.
I chatted with her this morning.
Oh, you did?
I did.
That's amazing.
Sonia
Okay.
Seglin.
Yeah.
Yeah, chatted with her this morning.
Okay, so I can check that off my list.
You can check that one off.
Woohoo!
Look at that. You get to end your day with something like that. You can check one off the list.
I feel like I can like participate in that show. Like, what is it? The camp show where they connect Jewish people from like
Who
all over
knows
the country?
one?
Who knows one? Yeah, that was my who knows
Ah.
one moment. But I knew her from Chicago. She took over for my 4th grade class when I moved from Chicago to New Jersey.
Oh,
And
that's
we
so
just
funny.
literally recently connected, and I've always had my eyes and ears open since our coffee to see ways in which she could connect. So I'm glad that that connection was made. Now we have
Terrific.
something to talk about
Cool.
at coffee next time we catch up.
I
Super
love